Okay, I want to talk about the pooping solution again. Made a video about it a few videos back. I wanted to talk about something else that I discovered about frequencies and moving things through your system, through the system. I was outside just now and I was thinking about Sedona, Arizona. Okay, Yellowstone, right? Well, Yellowstone. I know that there's like a lot of videos about it possibly exploding or happening, and it covers a very, very wide range throughout the West Coast. And the temperature differences from the West Coast to the East Coast are, I mean, they seem very dramatic. And this is what I picture in my head, right? You've got the magma underneath there, right? And it warms up the situation. And that's probably the reason why there's such a big temperature difference on that side of the US. And like when I went there on my road trip, I could sense an elevation difference. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, I don't feel afraid of it. I don't feel panicked about it. It's probably because Spirit told me that I was born from the ashes of a volcano, and when I think about my home planet, a very oxygenated atmosphere, I think about volcanoes under the ocean, and I think about how beautiful it is. It's like this purple. I always envision like this purple blue concentrated color, and then I think about the volcanic magma coming out, and it like has a very, very beautiful look to it. In fact, it looks like a lit cigarette. Like whenever I look at it, I see it, and it's like the fire burning on it is like this very, very vibrant orange, and then I see the ashes around the orange, and it looks to me like this. It's like a gray purple blue. Well, it's more like gray purple. And it's like I just see that, and it reminds me of a volcano under the ocean. And I actually had a dream about a volcano under the ocean. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was like in 2011, right? And in my dream, I kind of like panicked about it. But now I'm realizing something about, that was then. I'm realizing more about it now. Is that when I think about warming up and energy distribution, and when I think about sort of like leveling it out or making it comfortable for everybody, I was like, okay, well, what does that look like on a grand scale? And I think about the West Coast, the East Coast, how it seems to have this separated line. Everybody talks about, I think there's videos on the internet about that one line that's like the Mississippi River or whatever. That's sort of like the dividing line or something like that. And it's like the dividing temperatures. And I noticed that when I went on my road trip, it was like I could actually feel the magnetic difference as I would actually cross through. Like I could see the difference in my immediate reality, and I could feel the difference. I was like super sensitive to that line. And I could always tell when I crossed over it. I could just feel it. I didn't have to look for road signs. I just knew it, like intuitively in my heart, in my own energy field. And what I think is actually happening here, what I picture in my mind is that, maybe I'm so in tune with the ocean, and I'm so in tune with my oxygenated home planet, and I'm kidding. Okay, I'm going really fast. What I think about is like, what if instead of just one giant situation on one side of the U.S., what is actually happening is it is actually the way we're looking at it. Maybe it's not exactly what it is. Maybe it's actually taking that, just like the weather is like, trying to make it a more comfortable temperature for everybody. Maybe if underground it's doing this, I mean, maybe, of course, it's perfect science that the magma that's underneath that situation that seems extremely warm. I mean, you can see that it's like raining more in certain locations. It's clearly distributing the balance there. Well, under the ground, I think it's doing the same thing, so that it's not going to be like something super crazy town, uncomfortable, scary experience. What I think is actually happening is that magma is gonna distribute as well as the oceans, as well as the weather and the temperature and the rain. Like I think everything is actually balancing out because I mean, of course, in science and molecular balance, I mean, it happens all the time, and we're just seeing it on a grand scale, which seems difficult to look at or scary sometimes. But I think that's actually what's happening is it's balancing out naturally on a grand scale so that we can experience it. So what I think is that the magma is like actually going to even itself out instead of being concentrated in one location. So that it actually, the magma is what keeps us warmer, you know what I mean? And the sun and the stardust, it's like warming from not only the top, but from the bottom to keep us comfortable in the middle. Like that's what I feel in my heart is actually happening. So, the magma is just going to sort of smooth over. And maybe that's the reason why there's like some earthquakes and there's different magnetic differences and stuff like that. I think it's actually going to even out so that the whole situation in the U.S. is going to be a very, very comfortable, warm situation. That's what I think is actually happening. Yeah, those were my ideas immediately. Oh, frequencies. I also wanted to talk about frequencies. Okay. So I was outside and I was like going over this dream. This dream popped into my head, and my mom's like, keep talking it out, keep talking it out. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there with like my coffee, I got my cigarette. I had the Pelon coffee and I put eggnog in it. It's like wicked good, and some sugar in the raw. Okay, so anyways, and it's like, it's funny to talk about, okay? So as a kid, right, I was like super duper hyper. I was like constantly moving around, and it's funny to talk about, but pooping was really, really difficult for me. It was like I was either so dehydrated or moving around so much that it was like a seemingly perfect system where I was literally dissipating or disillusioning everything in my body. Everything that I ate, I was constantly using that energy. Like I would just use it before my body could even move it through my own system, right? So when I think about being in the future, right, I think about your brain activity, and I think about how your brain uses so much energy if you're constantly using it or constantly moving your body. It uses everything that you need. So it's like even if you ingest it, it goes to wherever you actually need it. Same thing with being in nature. It's like, they take whatever elements they need from you just the same way that we take whatever elements from them. It's like this constant energy distribution. And what I'm thinking now is that I never used to be able to poop very easily. And now it comes a lot easier. And what I'm realizing is that I think that as a child, I was so far into the future that I literally had so much trouble separating my own concentrated matter into the earth, into the system, like out and through my system, because I was just so far ahead in the future because of all this information that I'm now finally coming out and bringing to fruition to you. And now that I'm finally accepting these big truths that were probably already in my system, and that's probably why I used so much of the food that I was already eating, that like I'm realizing it's like when this is what makes me appreciate the pooping solution so much, and that's probably why I talk about it, because it was always such a difficult task for me as a kid, like super difficult. It was painful. It was just like really uncomfortable, and now it's so much easier. It's so much easier for me, and so now whenever I have to actually go to the bathroom, I'm like retardedly excited. I'm like super excited about it because it's like something that I struggled with it as a kid. And I'm realizing more about frequencies and the oxygen is that, okay, so it's like when I'm like talking my mind pockets outside and I'm trying to figure something out, when I just say it and I don't even think about it, and I just like, I picture it in my head and then I like talk it out, it's like the free association brings me to like this moment of truth, that perfect alignment that I talk about. And it's like, it like moves through your system, right? But what I'm also realizing is accepting frequencies. So it's like, I'm saying this separately to like, better understand the situation, is that like accepting the elements like the oxygen and everything else that's coming into this atmosphere, something that's already existed here, but it's also accepting the frequencies, because my mom told me something about my eyes and how my eyes, they cue into frequencies even if I can't actually see it yet. There's like something about, like, have you ever just kind of been like, you know what I mean? Like, you feel like someone's there or something's there, and you just look and you're like, huh, that was weird. It's like something is there, or there's a frequency there that you need, because I do that all the time. I'll actually look, and then I feel that flipping motion, but the flipping motion doesn't feel so severe anymore. Now the flipping motion feels like oxygen. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like oxygen, like I'm being blessed with oxygen on the inside, just by looking at a certain frequency on the outside. And so, okay, so, I'm so outside, and like the cars are going by, right? The cars are going by, and it's like the frequency from that vehicle is like the frequency that I would cue into and I would listen to, and it was like literally I could feel the flipping motion sometimes, or I would just feel the solution that's inside of my system, and it would move. I could actually, I can like feel my insides, and I can actually feel that concentrated matter moving through my system. And it was like the more I accepted the frequencies that would pass by in cars, and it was, my mom was like, we send you the frequencies necessary for you to move your truth, for you to move your concentrated truth matter through your system. She's like, so you need to cue into frequencies. There's a reason why you got that, I got that tattoo of frequencies on the back of my neck, because that's where usually it starts, but now I feel it all over in my body. And it's like, cueing into these frequencies, like it's like this relaxing mechanism. It is cueing into frequencies and like listening to the way it sounds, and it's like by listening, you are taking it in. You're taking in that frequency and accepting it, and it's like exactly what you need. It's like the earth, the frequencies around you, everything is always giving you what you need, and I think it's all about realizing and accepting that frequency. Because as soon as I cued into the sound, like I would say something about a dream, or I would say something about free association, and then like a car would go by, and it makes me think of like the bowels, right? Because it would like be a big old truck. It'd be like, and I would hear the frequency, and immediately it was like my intestines and everything. It's like the certain frequencies that like excite your organs or something. Whenever I think bowels, I think of this, you know what I mean? Like this really, really deep sound. So whenever that truck would go by and I'd hear that real deep bass sound, it was like my bowels, like my small intestine, wherever it is, it would like, by taking that frequency, it would literally excite that organ, and it's like when I think about higher pitch frequencies, it like, I can hear it, like, have you ever stopped for a minute and you heard like a e, like a real high frequency? And it's like that excites, like, you know what I mean? I feel like these frequencies that you pick up on and you hear, whether it's a car or it's nature or it's like a plane or something like that, like anything that you hear, it's like the frequency that you particularly anybody needs, and just by realizing that and cueing into it, it like feeds whatever organ, whatever central nervous, like anything that's in your body. By just realizing that, it literally heals your body and moves things so much easier and circulates your body just by realizing those frequencies. It's exactly what you need. Whether it's man-made or not man-made, it all works together. It all works together to give you exactly what you need. And the only reason why I'm so like convicted in this is because you know what I'm saying, is because when I'm out, because pooping is so difficult for me, that when I realize a big truth, or when I, when I take in like a frequency, it like moves these frequencies like cilia or something like that, and it just moves. It vibrates at whatever resonance that's inside of your body, and it moves it smoother through your system. And there is really something about the pooping solution that seems to be a big deal. So I know what the truth feels like, because it's the only thing that seems to move things through my system. So I just really wanted to share that with you. about the frequencies and stuff. And you know, if you ever feel like uncomfortable or unhappy, or you feel like you're all stopped up, a lot of people, there's a lot of commercials out there about, like, I don't know, whatever it is to help you move things through your system. But those are options, of course. But if you don't want to use those options, the other option is to go outside and, like, just take in those frequencies, because whatever you need, if you just, like, stand outside for a moment, the cars going by, if you see, like, birds, like, I always feel so much more comfortable in my own situation when there's, like, birds, like, literally, like, coming onto trees, like, right now in front of my house, and it's like they give you whatever you need. And I relax immediately when I see animals. Like, if I don't see any animals, I concentrate on something else. But then as soon as I see, like, a bird go by, or I see a squirrel, I'm like I just breathe, I just breathe and I relax immediately. And these are, like, all, I want to say tools, but that sounds harsh. These are, like, the frequencies that relax my system. And yeah, so I guess what I'm just saying is that if you ever feel like something is uncomfortable, going outside and the system already knows what you need. The earth, everything, they already know what you need. So if you go outside and you really, like, kind of, like, cue into everything, all the frequencies, it, like, literally will give you the frequency that your system needs in any organ, in any bone, in any, anything that's in here. That's the frequency that's meant for you. That's exactly what you need. And just by listening to it, and just kind of, like, if you get a mental picture, like, don't push it out, like, check it out. You know what I mean? Like, just check it out. Maybe it's something that you need. Maybe it's an answer that you're looking for. The pictures seem to be, like, super duper important to me, and for a long time I couldn't, like, my mom kept telling me, she's like, we're trying to send you pictures, but it doesn't seem to be going through to your system. But now it's like I talk in, like pictures, like, they talk to pictures with me, pictures and frequencies, and it's like just talking it out is, like, the same thing. Yeah. Okay. That was a lot. All right. Yeah. So that's all I had to share. Thanks for watching.